Everyone. I'll firstly thank NABCB and QSI for organizing this event. Food safety is a major concern nowadays. We all are consumers first, then maybe producers. The balance is not there today. If Pavanji would have been here, it would have been the best situation where the regulator and the industry was there. But today it seems the industry here is on majority. But anyway, because time is limited and everyone wants to cheer the Indian contingent for the last silver or the gold medal, I should say the gold medal. So let's start off fast. I'll request my old friend, Mr. Sanjay Khachuria, to start off with his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit, and thank you organizers for inviting me to speak on a topic which I'm very, very passionate about, and every one of us who work for Nestle in India, or for that matter globally, all 330,000 of us, extremely passionate about this subject. So thank you once again for inviting. It would have been a pleasure to have Pavanji here, because we would have got the regulator perspective as well. But I think we'll try. We have the gentleman from Gujarat municipality, so we'll see how we take it forward. Just to take you back a little bit, there was a critical shift in the whole food safety arena in 2006, when food law, actually the PFA, as we would call it, Prevention of Food Adulteration, started moving towards Food Safety and Standards Act. Some of you who have been in this profession or been dealing with food laws would remember that at that point in time there were 13 different acts run by 9 different universities, and food processors or food manufacturers, we all had to comply with requirement of each and every one. The shift which FSSAI brought in was there is one single law today, one single line of command, if I can use. There is a central command and there is a state command. The labeling guidelines have changed, and the best thing which has happened is the focus is more and more on food safety rather than the adulteration and looking at everyone with a suspicion that you might be adulterating your product. FSSAI, Food Authority, has also worked a lot on making sure that some of the best practices globally, whether it is aligning with Codex or putting the vertical or horizontal systems, are put in place. They have started to allow additives and have started to allow ingredients which are deemed safe. So when they get into the products are by definition safe. The other good thing which we find is, as food manufacturer, that risk assessment is done by independent scientific experts, which also gives both the regulator as well as the manufacturer a lot of confidence in the way the laws have been drafted. FSSA also looking at training and stringent enforcement of safety. So on one side they say that we are going to make sure that you do your self audits yourself, but if you are caught doing something wrong, then the penalties would be huge. There have been apps which have been brought in, the FBOs have been trained. So in a way, one can say that Food Authority actually has done a lot of work in this area. All these efforts done by the regulators today are building more confidence and trust in consumer, which actually is based on 3 critical aspects: the food safety, the right quality, and the compliances. Now, while a lot of work has been done, but the issues pertaining to food safety are in the newspapers and in the media every day. I think hardly any day goes by when you don't read about a food safety concern in the newspaper. Some people also have gone to the extent of saying from farm to plate food consumed is unsafe. I think it's a little exaggerated, but yes, it's a point of view. FSSAI keeps coming back and saying we are going to formulate new policies for food safety. Milk adulteration, as you know, is becoming a big issue and a big problem. Even Supreme Court has taken cognizance of it. Midday meals, couple of years back, we all saw what happened in certain states, and after that authorized people have been asked to now take samples and do these things. Things like open spices are always under scrutiny and the samples are being taken. Food safety in the end is a shared responsibility. Food can become contaminated through improper practices from the time it is produced in a farm till the time it is on the consumer's table. FSSAI plays a pivotal role. As you can see here, I've just tried to put in some responsibility for each of the stakeholder here. Industry has to make sure that the culture of food safety is not on a piece of paper, but it is in a way part of DNA of the manufacturer. There should be integral control from farm to fork, and I'll give you a little bit of examples from the company I work for. The industry has to make sure all the regulatory and legal compliances are fulfilled. There should be a commitment to continued food safety, and there should be proactive cooperation in response to emerging trends. Food safety is not a static subject. As all of you know, it changes every day. The regulatory regime has to do a lot of things, evidence-based standard setting, also focus on prevention while enabling effective reactions, commitment to continued evolution. A lot of work gets done in India, and also a lot of work gets done globally. I think the role of the regulator is to make sure that it merges somewhere. While food safety will continue to be primary responsibility at every step, starting from agricultural produce manufacturer and regulators, I think consumers have an extremely important role to play. Till such time the consumer starts to demand safe product and understand what a safe product is, I think all this exercise will have no meaning. Once consumer understands the safety requirement, then the consumer has a choice on what he wants to buy and how he wants to buy. Now, my presentation would actually will revolve around why food safety matters for corporations, the food companies. I think this is one of the most important asset of a food company. Over and above legal obligation, food safety constitutes one of the most fundamental and vital aspect of any food operation and is backbone of consumer trust. Every product on the shelf, every service and every consumer contact, even when the consumer calls and wants to know about safety of your product, actually helps to shape this trust. A responsible company's brand name on the product is a promise that it is safe to consume, that it complies with all the relevant laws and legislations, then it will consistently and constantly meet high standards of quality. Each and every employee is dedicated towards this cause. To sustainably create value and to effectively and efficiently build consumer trust, there are a couple of things every food company does. One is it guarantees food safety and full compliance. At the same time, it also ensures that there is a consistency in whatever gets sold. All of us, and Mr. Mehta from Levers is here, we try to make sure when the product leaves our factory, it is zero defect. And in the end, this is something which we want our commitment to go on not only to the regulator, but also to the consumer, that whatever is getting sold, you can be assured that the product is safe and it's safe to consume. Just to give you a little bit of global landscape where we come from, we have 3 research centers. One pertains to Institute of Health Sciences. We have a NRC which works a lot on fundamental research, and then clinical development units. We have 13 product quality centers and the 18 R&D center. Roughly 5,000 people work in R&D centers in various parts of the globe as far as Nestle is concerned. And as far as safety is concerned, whenever they are developing any product, whether it's in R&D center A or B, safety is a key parameter by design. So it's not that you develop a product and then start looking at safety as one of the parameters. Safety is part of the design under which these R&Ds and PTCs operate. We also have quality assurance laboratories. We take the same rigorous approach to food safety in India like what we have everywhere else. As you see here, there are about 26 state-of-art food safety and quality assurance labs spread across the world. And the one you see here, I can't pinpoint here, but you can see Moga, which is in Punjab. In addition to other certification, it is also certified by NABL. These are maintained with high quality equipment, and at the same time highest qualified staff is what gets recruited there. You'll be happy to know that most of the equipment which is there can actually analyze any product up to parts per billion. So any additive, any ingredient. there are rapid testing methodology which are used. Globally, we do about 100 million tests every year. There are 300 people in quality assurance only in India. Just to give you a number to show how much safety is of paramount importance, there are 9 labs, there are 2 external labs. We work with quality and testing protocols which are developed either in India or globally. 11 laboratories test the raw material from raw material stage to the end product stage. As you all know, food safety management is literally farm to fork. The approach to food safety has now evolved from looking for defects in finished products to trying to identify their root cause as early as possible, because that's the time you can really control. And I'm sure all the responsible big companies have early warning systems to pinpoint signal that the issues which may turn into crisis. Highly sophisticated technologies are used. In fact, there are laboratories which are looking at studying foodborne pathogens and help us responding to emerging crises. This is the last part of my slide, and I will take some liberty to take you in a little bit of detail as to what gets done at each stage. The food safety actually starts from the farm. Entire supply chain starting from farmers and supplier. There is a rigorous procurement and auditing process to ensure we select, firstly, credible, responsible suppliers, and then they provide safe, high quality raw material. The specifications are given to the supplier in such a way that the products have high quality and high safety measures. The checks are performed every time a raw material enters the factory. It is ensured that the regulations are followed, the safety is followed, and latest scientific knowledge is applied when you get to testing these products. Needless to say that when the product doesn't fit into those quality parameters, it is rejected and never used. When it comes to production or preparation, all the manufacturing facilities wherever they are in the world are designed to ensure that the products are of highest quality and safety standard. This includes foreign bodies from entering products, enabling the management of allergen and controlling pathogens. Factories actually, from the time they are constructed, they are built according to precise prerequisites, including those for clean and safe water supply, air filtration, or any material which will come in contact with any food. There is a guarantee that the material, equipment, and manufacturing environment are designed to produce safe products. The flow of ingredients is managed well, and the products in and out of factories, it is ensured that the raw material and the prepared food are properly segregated. The factories have dedicated zones, equipment, and utensils for different ingredients not to allow any cross-contamination between the two. There is cleaning and sanitation practices at every end of production, and the employees are fully trained to adhere to the principles of good food hygiene. Coming to processing, the recipes and processing technologies are scientifically formulated to deliver the safest possible products. As you know, appropriate dosage is one of the requirements when it comes to food safety. The products are made in such batches or quantities that there is consistent dosage of any nutrient. We also make sure that the temperature is kept at optimal one so that there is no scope of any dangerous microorganisms or inclusion. In fact, we try and prevent the formation of any chemical contaminants by keeping the temperatures optimally. Once the product is ready, it is tested before release. The products are not checked to see if they are safe, but just to verify and validate that they are safe. Because end of the supply chain, if the product is unsafe, there is no point testing. So at every stage, it is made sure that the high quality and safety is taken care of. Test is done basically to validate what we already know. There are stringent inbuilt controls to guarantee safety. By the time it reaches final testing stage, as I mentioned, we are sure that the product is safe. The challenge then comes is how to transport the product. When the products are released from the factory, we make sure they reach the destination. Sometimes you have product which needs optimal temperatures. products like chocolate, you need temperature so that from factory to the distributor to the retailer it reaches in cold chain. That is essential. Packaging also plays an extremely important role in ensuring that consumer understand the way the product has to be used. So all the products which you will see will have something on method of preparation where required. If you buy dairy whitener, if you buy coffees, there is always that, because these things also help in ensuring that the consumer is eating or drinking a safe product. Packaging also helps in traceability. God forbid if something were to go wrong, we would know from a certain batch how do we backtrack and see where the product was manufactured, on which day, on which line, and what ingredients. All the time there are people who are looking at signals. If something were to go wrong, we catch it first. I finish my presentation here. There are two issues which keep coming up. One is, are food processors really interested in food safety? I think I can tell you that food safety is #1 priority of all food processors. Our reason of existence is that consistently safe food is provided to the consumer. The second issue which we keep getting asked queries on, do you have the same standards which you apply globally? The answer is yes, and when Mr. Mehta speaks about it, I'm sure he's going to touch on this. Whatever safety standards are applied, irrespective of the country you are working in, the standards will always remain the same. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Sanjay ji. Firstly, Sanjay ji informed us about the 10-year celebration that is going to take place on Monday. And that's the reason he briefed how FSSAI came into existence. Earlier it was a license Raj or an inspector Raj or a policeman, and now we have a regulator who is ready to do hand-holding. So earlier they were trying to catch us doing a mistake, now they want to guide us. I think the overall atmosphere is very positive, and as industry representatives and consumers, we all need to believe in the system, and we all need to be proactive in giving them our feedback. Thank you, Mr. Khajuria, again on bringing up the importance of the raw material. In case the industry does not get a good raw material and you don't have a check there, a bad raw material can never produce a good product. So that is something very vital where the industry, the agriculture ministry and all of us need to work together. The third vital point that he raised was that they have necessary checks, R&D centers. I hope one day in India also, before FSSAI gives a product approval or something like that, we have a robust system of checking the safety when an approval comes from the authority as well. Now I'll invite Mr. Sanjeev Mehta to give his presentation.
Hi, good evening and namaskar everyone. Thank you QCI for inviting us and giving us an opportunity to share our thoughts on this very important subject. I think Sanjay, my friend from Nestle, did a fabulous job in laying down what a leading foods company in the world has been doing as far as the food safety is concerned. Now, what I'm going to talk about are a few issues, and very importantly, talk about what could really be built from our perspective into a national food agenda. Now, that's what Mr. Gandhi said, it is health that is real wealth and not pieces of gold and silver. Well, many decades back, this is what he said, equally relevant then, absolutely relevant now. Now, the thing what I'm going to cover is, first is our credential as a food business. Then I'll talk about food safety in India and the key stakeholders, and how do we build a national food safety agenda. Unilever is a company which is over 100 years old. We are of Anglo-Dutch origin. Now, even in India, our roots are over 100 years old. Yeah, we've been here for many years. And we think Indian, we believe in India, we are committed to India. We are a home and personal care and a foods business globally. About $25 billion comes from foods. And when we talk about foods internally, it is foods and refreshments. Yeah, refreshments are the tea, coffee, and ice cream business, and foods are the savories and rest of the categories like Marmite, etc., soups, etc., which get into the foods category. From an Indian perspective, we are a $5 billion business in the country, out of which we are slowly inching towards a $1 billion foods business. And here again, we have foods as well as refreshments. We are either number one or number two player. And for last several years, we have been growing at a pretty clip pace at about 10% CAGR. And that really is an indication of the opportunity that is available for food manufacturer in the country, because the overall size of the processed food is still very, very small in the country. Now, global R&D, it's just like Sanjay talked about, that's so important for us. We have got over 6,000 professionals, many research centers from discover to deploy and design, and we have 6 global discover labs, out of which one is in India, in Bangalore. In fact, the first private sector R&D was set up by Unilever, HUL, in India, and it has gained strength over the years. It doesn't just does work for the India business, but it does basic research for Unilever. Then we have a very important, what we call as the SHIAC, which is Safety and Environmental Assurance Center. This is manned by high caliber professionals with the whole idea that the products should be absolutely safe for the consumers as well as for the environment, and we don't launch anything which has not been cleared by SHIAC. Now let's look at food safety in India and the key stakeholders. Now the challenges for us is, one is food security. Yeah, we still have 20% of the population or thereabouts below the poverty line. If you look at it from a global perspective, 1 billion people go to bed hungry every day. Then we have, very importantly, food safety. That absolutely a big challenge. Yeah, more importantly because of a huge amount of unorganized sector in the country. And then there is about nutritional balance. Yeah, we have on one hand malnutrition, on the other hand obesity. Now that's the challenge that faces the country. And as more and more people come out of the poverty trap and their daily intake of food in terms of quantity and quality goes up, there is going to be a bigger challenge on the country in terms of food security. At the same time, an important constituent of food security, which is water, is gradually depleting, and if we don't do significantly in terms of solving a water problem, we could be seriously stressed in terms of water. And a fact which I believe you would be aware of, that 80% of the water consumed in the country goes into agriculture. The key stakeholders as far as food safety is concerned, first and foremost are the consumers. Second are industry and trade. And the third, very important, is government and regulatory bodies. Now, the goals of all the 3 stakeholders are very common and consistent. It is about providing nutritious, it is about providing safe, it is about ensuring that the safety standards are uppermost and meets what the requirements of the country are. Now, from a consumer and food safety, if you look at it from a consumer angle, there are certain paradoxes. One is today, thanks to digital and internet and more educated people in the country, there is heightened awareness, but at the same time, there is greater suspicion. The other important bit is that people aren't really aware of what causes illnesses. Many times people think that it is only the food grains which are laced with pesticides, or in many times they feel uncomfortable about processed food because that's not a big habit in the country to consume processed food. So they have a lack of understanding, they have a lack of awareness of what really causes. And I'll show you a WHO slide which lays bare where a big cause of food-related illnesses are in our country. So the perception that processed foods are unsafe, that's not really true. If the foods manufacturers have prescribed to the kind of safety standards which Sanjay very well elucidated. So there are many myths which surround this entire agenda about food safety. Now, from an industry and trade perspective, Yeah, it is literally farm to fork. Yeah, it is about safe practices by primary producers. Then it is the post-harvest. It is about safety on wheels. It is about safety in godowns. Then it is, of course, a big onus is on the manufacturers. It is about design specification. It is about HACCP and GMPs. It is about processes. It is about trained manpower. But very importantly, one fails to understand that even if you have high quality standards at the end of the production line, that does not necessarily mean that you will have the same standard of safety when the consumer picks it up from the shelf, and very importantly, when the consumer consumes it. Because safety on wheels, the way it is handled in transit, in stores, in warehouses, and most importantly, the way it is stored and handled by the consumers at homes or in small outlets, trade. That's where a lot of illnesses, the cause of the illnesses occur. The other is, of course, government and regulatory bodies. Yeah, for them, it is about balancing the food availability and access and food safety. Then it is about legislation and enforcement. Then it is about the data gaps that you have across the country. It's such a vast country. And then it is about paucity of expertise. In a country like India, of course, as we keep growing at the kind of pace we have seen in the last 10, 20 years, I think the scenario will change dramatically in the next 10 to 20 years in every aspect of governance. But still today, there is a challenge of how do you build state-of-the-art laboratories? How do you have laboratories which are staffed by trained people and they have the necessary expertise? So those are the challenges which clearly the regulators face. So what should be a national safety agenda, food safety agenda? Now, what are the challenges? One is, of course, the high level of population and a large cattle population, which often results in huge amount of challenges for the country, and a lot of zoonotic infections take place because of the standard of cattle breeding which takes place in the country. Then it is about transportation of food, and many times when the food crosses the border, is people are not really aware of the condition in which it had been made or the condition stipulated by the manufacturer of that country in which it ought to have been stored. Then it comes to many times using of wastewater for agriculture, which has its own problems as far as the food produced is concerned. Then the climate change, all of us know that in higher temperature, pathogens find it more easy to survive. And then, of course, are the good agricultural practices which may or may not be adopted by our farmers. So from our perspective, if we look at the National Food Safety Agenda, we would say first is the risk-based thinking. That we believe is absolutely critical. Second is, it may sound a bit flippant, but then hygiene promotion. And I'll talk about it in a while. The third important bit is consumer engagement. And fourth, very important, food safety is not just the job of a food regulator. It's the job of everyone. It has to be stakeholder partnerships which can really make a difference to the food safety in the country. From a risk-based thinking, I think we are absolutely clear that we need science into food safety. We need evidence-based, risk-based thinking in food safety. It is not just about hazard-based. You may be having incorporation at a very small level on a ppm basis, but it makes a huge difference when you consume it 1 gram or you consume it at 100 grams. So we need to take all those into account as to what can go wrong, how likely it is to happen, and if it happens, what are the kind of consequences of the health. So science and risk-based, I believe, are very critical for a food agenda as we go forward. And we can't have just a simple checklist of compliance and based on simple yes or no. That's not how. A simple example is MSG. Now, monosodium glutamate, you might say it should not be incorporated, but all of us know it is the most abundant, naturally occurring amino acid, and it is there in large quantities in things like tomatoes or cheese. So that's where we have to be very conscious about and bring in the risk-based thinking. And the advantages would be absolutely immense. Yeah, we will be able to determine what's the impact on health, the critical food safety issues, prioritize the policy measures, and very importantly, align it with the global safety best practices in many of the developed countries. Now, the second is hygiene. Now, this is a very telling chart of WHO. If you look at the one which I have highlighted, you will find that the biggest impact of foodborne diseases comes from diarrheal disease agents, which is in blue, and invasive infectious disease agents, which is in green. Yeah, chemicals and toxins, which is at the top of the pyramid, which is very small, and helminths or parasitic worms are not, again, of a very high order. So this really comes home the point about how important hygiene is. You know, I come from a company which sells soaps and soups. Now, we have been, 99% of the households in the country have soaps in their homes. But when you go to many parts of rural India, you would be amazed to find out that the habit of cleaning hands with soaps after going to other toilets is in single digits. Yeah, so many times people feel that visibly clean hands are free of germs. That's not true. We have been investing huge amount of resources in making people change their habits, change their behavior to bring in the right kind of hygiene practices. And that's where Mr. Modi's agenda of Swachh Bharat is so important, because that will have a direct impact on our food safety agenda. Yeah, hygiene promotion, very clearly, it is about cleaning or washing hands, separating raw and cooked food, cooking it thoroughly, keeping food at safe temperature, use safe waters and materials. Now, these are very simple points, but you really need to understand, are they being practiced in our households? Now, these are big causes of foodborne diseases in the country. And unless we are able to raise awareness, unless we are able to change the behavior of people, we will not be able to impact the food safety agenda in the country. Now, as a consumer marketing company, we are very adept at what we call is changing consumer behavior. We call it the levers of change, the 5 levers of change. And this is about making it understand, making it easy, making it desirable, making it rewarding, and making it a habit. Now, we do it as our day job. Now, this is a similar focus which we need to bring in from a consumer engagement perspective, because only through changing their behavior would be able to change the habits and change the habits on a sustainable basis. The other important bit, like I talked about, is the stakeholders, the multi-stakeholders. Yeah? We have to build trust and confidence in the entire food value chain. Yeah, from the growers of food, to the industry, to the academia, to the key opinion formers, to the consumers, and of course the regulators. And the entire work should be based on science. It should be based on improving the sanitation. It should be bringing about the multi-stakeholder partnerships to make a difference, to enhance the capacity in the country. And just to give you an idea, is just about a few months back, we had inaugurated a SHIFTS initiative, which is a CII and Hindustan Unilever initiative under the auspices of FSSAI to promote science and risk-based food safety thinking in the country. Yeah, we need more and more of such initiatives, and only then I believe we would be able to make a difference to our agenda. The other very important bit is digital. Digital as an enabler, and from a perspective of enabling us using big data and analytics on one hand, and using mobile, where the penetration now is 800, 900 million people in the country, in terms of getting the facts, in terms of analyzing data, and in terms of disseminating information, which can be a big, big leveler, and which can make a tremendous difference if we have to bring in risk-based thinking and also changing the habits of the people in the country. Yeah? And it could become a two-way medium of sharing information, and about not only about illnesses, very importantly, but also communicating the food safety messages across the spectrum of our population. So in summary, what I was talking about is bring in the risk-based thinking, promote hygiene in the country, engage the consumers, change their behavior, bring in stakeholder, multi-stakeholder partnerships, and of course, use digital as a big enabler in the country to make a difference to food safety. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji, for an excellent presentation. I think you have summed up the role of everyone, starting from the consumer to the regulator to us, and Sanjay ji and Sanjeev ji has given a model how the food processing industry should operate. I think that's great, and maybe in India 80% of the food processing sector is in the SSI sector, but still we can aim to achieve. The spirit should be that whatever comes in should be safe and whatever goes out should be safer. Thank you. I'll now invite our last speaker, Mr. Vijay Pandya.
Good afternoon, all of you. Show something in video format. Many things are printed and shown and admitted and expressed regarding the food and food safety, what government should do and what consumers should do and what food business operators should do and what private owners should do. But we have already implemented in last 1.5 years in the Rajkot city, which is populated more than 14 lakhs. We have already told that this is an incessant agenda. जो कब खत्म होगा वो हमें भी नहीं पता, गवर्नमेंट को भी नहीं पता, सर को भी नहीं पता, सर को भी नहीं पता. तो एक छोटी सी डॉक्यूमेंट्री मैं बना के लाऊं आपके लिए, सिर्फ 5 मिनट की है, मगर इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें आ जाएगी.
आज हम सिकनेस को एड्रेस करते हैं, आवश्यकता है हम वेलनेस को एड्रेस करें. हम बीमारी की चिंता करते हैं, हम स्वास्थ्य की चिंता कम करते हैं. और इसलिए प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर, पैरामेडिकल फोर्सेस, ये सारी शक्तियों को कैसे जोड़ा जाए. भाइयों बहनों, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस की बातें बहुत हुई है. 21वीं सदी में हमें गारंटी देनी होगी. हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस से अटकना नहीं है, हेल्थ एश्योरेंस का वादा करना होगा.
Implementation of Food Safety Standards Act, an incessant agenda. Food safety is the agenda which links each and every human being, irrespective of any race, religion, socio-economic status, urban, rural, and educational status. In other words, food safety is a global agenda and also a serious public health challenge, because more than 200 diseases spread through food only. That's why Government of India has implemented Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. Rajkot is the 4th largest city of Gujarat. Citizens are festive lovers and food crazy. Rajkot Municipal Corporation has started to follow the Food Safety Standard Act to promote the health of citizens from child to old age. Another main objective was to sensitize the food business operators to follow the act. Moreover, World Health Organization had dedicated the year 2015 exclusively for food safety. The slogan was, "From farm to plate, make food safe." To achieve all these objectives in time-bound manner, a smart action plan was prepared under the able leadership of Municipal Commissioner Vijay Nehra. A four-pronged approach was adopted: intensification of routine activities, proactive and supportive action for food business operators, targeted interventions in specific areas, extensive awareness activities. Under intensification of routine activities, intensive visits were taken from star-rated hotels to smallest hawkers, and vigilant actions were taken. Under targeted intervention parts, specific areas of city was covered in campaign mode, namely One Day One Ward campaign, Plastic Free City campaign, and Cleanliness campaign. Rigorous seasonal drives were also conducted covering all the food commodities. Some record-breaking stops were made during the raids. The main highlight of the project was proactive and supportive steps for food business operators. Some exclusive activities were carried out through which any food business operator can get all the help to get license. Rajkot Municipal Corporation has started a spatial facilitation center, 24/7 call center and doorstep license services also, in which officials had visited the shops with IT support and got them registration on the spot.
અહીંના જે સાહેબો છે રાજકોટ કોર્પોરેશનના એ અમને સમજાવ્યું જોગવાઈઓ વિશે સૂચનાઓ પણ ખૂબ બીજે સાહેબોએ જેને લીધે અમને અમારામાં ઇમ્પ્રુવમેન્ટ કરવાની ઘણી બધી ખબર પડી છે.
Another significant part was the extensive awareness activities. Whole awareness activities spreading over via hoardings, posters, stickers, press notes, workshops, Facebook, Twitter, and electronic media. The impact was seen in various terms like increase in number of visits, increase in amount of penalty, the decrease in the number of outbreaks of foodborne diseases, increase in number of licenses, and multiple benefits were observed.
કાર્યકર્તા છે એના પરથી બધી વસ્તુ જે છે એ ફ્રેશ વસ્તુ છે અને જે ડિસ્પોઝેબલ વાપરવામાં આવે છે એ બી સારું કામગીરી કરી રહ્યા છે અને જે ખાવામાં આવે છે બધું ફ્રેશ આવે છે એનાથી જે રોગ થવા જોઈએ એ રોગ થતા નથી.
This project is friendly to the food business operator, and food business operator without any fear they are getting license, they are having faith in this act. Health of consumers are protected by this implementation this project. Health burden, particularly the morbidity rate is decreased by this implementing this project.
Third party evaluation was also carried out by an independent agency.
So what we have observed that after the initiation of this activity, mission, food safety mission, there is a dramatic enforcement of the law is dramatically increased. When we have carried out the knowledge, attitude and practice of the different vendors, we have seen that some significant improvement there in their cleanliness at the premises and availability of the logistics, personalizing, covering of food stuffs, types of the utensils used for serving food, and tasting food with the fingers, and knowledge of the acts, license and registrations.
There are 20 plus stakeholders and organizations proudly associated with the project.
કે સારા એ ગુજરાતની અંદર રાજકોટ એક એવું સેન્ટર છે કે જ્યાં લાયસન્સ મેળો કરીને અને સરળતાથી લાયસન્સ મળે એવી એક સૌરાષ્ટ્રમાં નહીં પણ ખાસ કરીને ગુજરાતની અંદર એને આ રાજકોટના આ વિભાગે આંગળી ચીંધી છે.
The salient features of the project were its coverage, cost effectiveness, sustainability, and replicability.
Coverage and cost effectiveness were the two main highlights. We have conducted whole project with expense of less than 1 lakh rupees. We have covered more than 10,000 food business operators and benefited more than 14 lakhs citizens of the Rajkot city. Project model is very simple, so any organization can replicate the same model. Sustainability is the very key issue in any project. Sensitized food business operators can act as a change agent for the implementation of the food safety act.
The Rajkot Municipal Corporation is committed to sustain all these efforts to promote the health of the citizens through holistic implementation of the Food Safety Act. The need of the hour is the food business operators should judiciously follow the Food Act, and the consumers should stay aware about consuming the good quality and healthy food.
Thank you, sir. To summarize, I would like to say that the most important part was the approach. Most important, sir. सर सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट सर इसमें अप्रोच था हमारा। एक्चुअली हमने सिर्फ किसी को पनिश करना या किसी को पेनल्टाइज कर देना या किसी को फाइन कर देना ये अप्रोच नहीं रखा था। साथ ही हमने अवेयरनेस भी जनरेट करने की भी इतनी कोशिश की। साथ में लोगों को, फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर को और कंज्यूमर्स को कन्विंस करने की भी सेम कोशिश इतनी इम्पैक्टफुली की हमने। और लास्ट में सेंसिटाइज करने को भी, क्योंकि ये जो फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर्स जो है हमारे अराउंड मोर देन 10,000 इन द राजकोट सिटी, वो अभी हमारे लिए चेंज एजेंट बन चुके हैं। जो अभी अगर हम लोग गवर्नमेंट या म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन प्रोजेक्ट न भी करें तो भी वो लोग एज ए चेंज एजेंट ये चीज़ को आगे ले जा सकते हैं। थैंक यू सर।
What Rajkot has done, that's an eye-opener. In case all municipal corporations in India can do that, FSSAI will not need to extend the compulsory date for registration every 6 months. That is a guarantee. आज के दिन, as we understand, maybe there are 5 crore registrations that are required, which FSSAI needs to do, and we have not even touched maybe 50 lakhs, 40 lakhs. So in case similar initiative is taken, like Rajkot has taken, I think it is very positive for the food business operator, for the consumer and FSSAI as well. So I'll request Dr. Vijay Padia to show this presentation to other municipal corporations, and whenever FSSAI has a meeting of all the state food safety commissioners, he must personally come and present it. And we will also request our Shri Pawan Agarwal ji, who is coincidentally not here today, to try to implement it in a similar fashion. Like in case we join hands together, there is no problem. In similar seminar, we were there last year also. I had an opportunity to attend it, and the atmosphere that time was totally different. I am being very frank, the industry was afraid of FSSAI. Every time we went to FSSAI was only to fight, that what you are doing is wrong, wrong, wrong. But now with the new chairman, the focus has shifted. The Prime Minister's office is also taking keen interest. We understand that India can act as a food basket. Maximum growth in terms of FDI is also has a possibility here. And India has the largest consumer base. So we have a production base and a consumer base. So if we all work together, we can have safe food, good food, and with companies like Nestle and Hindustan Lever sitting next to us, I think there is no dearth of technology or the knowledge. And they have always been proactive in supporting the government to bridge the gap which is not there.